Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Saturday AM Scramble. I'm your host, Lucian Graves, here with two of my guys, Eric and Mike. Eric, Mike, how y'all doing today? Talk to me.
I'm licking my wounds a little bit. It was a rough one for my Gophers last night. It was not a distinguishing performance by any means. So, but I'm excited. We got a big day of football today. So at least the pain is over. It's gone. It's in the past. I'm putting it behind me, and we're moving on. So we got a great slate of games today that I'm really excited for.
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Looking for a little bit of a bounce back game for Bryce today. We were able to pull out a win in basketball last night. The team's looking good, so I'm good. A little on the I don't know. I've been up for almost 24 hours, so it is what it is. So if I'm a little today, that's what it is. But I'm here.
Love that my guys show up under the weather. We're going to get it done, folks. We got a lot to talk about, but before we get into today, guys, what was the thing that surprised you most from last weekend's slate real quick before we dive into everything we got planned for today?
For me, it was a couple things. I did not expect Texas A&M to put it on Mizzou like that. I know Mizzou's in a tough spot quarterback-wise, but it was a bigger margin than I expected. And then Penn State, man, they almost did it. Penn State almost got Indiana. They had them. They ran them all the way down to the wire. It took a miraculous catch for Indiana to pull off that win. So Penn State, as rough of a year as it's been, they came really close to knocking out, knocking Indiana off its perch.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was kind of out of it last week. I was out of town. I didn't really get to sit and watch football like I normally do. So I kind of just got like the highlights of it. But if I remember right, it was a bunch of either upsets or like near upsets last week. So it seemed like it was a pretty crazy weekend. I'm looking back over the scores to see if there was any that had really surprised me. I think it surprised me that Iowa was able to hold Oregon to as low a score as they did. That surprised me because you guys know I'm not a believer in what's his name, Gronowski. I'm not a believer in him. So to see that score was surprising for me. I didn't really catch a lot of it though, so I'll be honest.
I will say go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna say, Lucian, our Iowa upset pick over Oregon almost came true. We were very close.
I know,
to
man.
That one.
I know.
I'm glad Iowa lost because I'm always glad Iowa loses. But we picked them to win, and we were almost right.
You almost had me bought in. Like I've been hearing people say that it was a potential trap game since like this past summer, and I didn't believe it. And like y'all kept saying it, and I'm like, okay, maybe. But then I don't think I really truly believed it because, like I said, it was kind of shocking to me that it was a 2-point game.
Iowa's legit up front, man. They're legit on the line of scrimmage. They're really tough, and that pass defense is good. Yeah, they can do stuff.
I'll say what most surprised me was the fact that Wisconsin actually managed to score some points last weekend and beat Washington. That was a big shock. And I just want to give a shout out to just two teams real quick. The California. I don't know where that came from last weekend. That was shocking, stunning Louisville, but they seem to be on a downward track as the last couple weeks go.
Been a bad 6 days for Louisville.
Yeah. And then the barn burner. When I say barn burner, I had some fireworks. Auburn versus Vanderbilt. They thought they had a win, and then all of a sudden, gotcha.
Listen, I have bought into the Diego Pavia hype. It took me a while, but I'm on the Diego Pavia train.
Oh, he's amazing.
Let me ask you, while we're talking about last week, though, what did y'all think about that move that USC did with the punter?
It was sneaky. I don't know if that should be legal, but it was sneaky. I mean, good for them for
Put
exploiting the rules.
the backup quarterback in the same jersey number as the punter, and then send him out there with the punt team.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
Did
they declare that he was in a different jersey though?
At the start of the game, yes, they did.
At the start of the game, yeah.
But he had never worn that number before, and the only time he got in the game was with the punt team, wearing the same number as the punter. But yes, at the start of the game, they declared that he was wearing that number.
Interesting. Yeah, that's going to be a rule quick. They're going to have to do something about that.
Like when Dan Lanning just put 12 guys in just because he's like, it's not really going to be a big deal. And then they had to change the rule, so you can't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's dive right into it, boys. We got Friday Night Lights. Mike, I know things didn't go well for you, but we're going to let you take the lead right now. So you want to talk about what happened last night?
There were 3 blown coverages on the opening touchdown drive coming off a bye week. And at the University of Minnesota, that's unacceptable. Minnesota has been a top 25 defense, I think 4 of the last 5 years or 4 of the last 6 years, something like that. So they've been a really good defensive team. The secondary has been really good. Under New, I hate to say it because he's a great recruiter. He's a really good position coach. But under new defensive coordinator Danny Collins, the Gophers have gotten run too many times this year. This is 3 conference road games, and we've gotten run off the field in every single one. Run off the field entirely. So there were some moments last night. Darius Taylor played. He played well. Anthony Smith was impossible to block. And like the game was close for a minute and a half, but it just wasn't, and the Gophers fought back at the beginning of the second half, but they could not get the stops on defense. The refs, if Oregon came close to catching a ball, they called it a completion. I don't even want to talk about that touchdown where the toe was out of bounds and they said he got his toe in. I was like, his foot was out of bounds. They're like, no, he got a toe in. Like, what do you mean he got a toe in? His foot was out of. Doesn't matter. Minnesota got run anyway. But bottom line, this team has not been good enough on the offensive line this year. And that means they can't control games. And the secondary, which has been such a strength, too many blown coverages. I mean, way too many blown coverages. And I don't want Danny Collins fired as defensive coordinator, but I think you might need to bring in a co-defensive coordinator to call the actual plays. Also, on offense, we ran 2 trick plays to start the game. You riddle me that. 2 trick plays in a row.
Coming off a bye week?
I was like, I'm glad you got your trick plays, but I don't know if you run them right out the gate, first snap. I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know, man.
What were the trick plays? Were they like flea flickers or were they some random wacky stuff?
It was like they ran a play where Darius took a direct snap, pitched it back to the quarterback, and he threw it to the tight end, and we got 4 yards. And I was like, that was a lot of work to get 4 yards.
Okay.
I mean, was there a receiver open? Was there somebody at least running downfield and maybe he wasn't open, or were they just running that play to the tight end?
No, they were running that play to the tight end. That was his first read, clearly.
Yeah, that's not.
I don't like that. Yeah.
No.
So
if you're running that play downfield, I could see it, maybe.
Yeah.
A little misdirection. But if you're just throwing that to your tight end, just hike it and throw it to your tight end.
Doesn't that defeat the purpose of like doing the whole like double pass thing to just throw it to a check down as your first read?
Yeah. I think so. It's a lot of
because the whole point of doing a double pass is to give someone time to get open downfield and then check down if they're not open, right?
Right. Yeah. And plus you think the defense, if you're going to do it that quick, they're going to be crossing that like little pass pattern. Like that could have been an interception. Like that's not, I mean, maybe that's just us guys, sometimes we don't understand what the coach sees.
I will say PJ Fleck looked as angry as I've ever seen him look on the sideline in 9 years in Minneapolis. That's as angry. He was as angry, not with the refs, with his team, with his assistants. He was angry last night. And he's a guy who's normally very positive, and he was pissed all night. And I was too. I finally turned it off halfway through the fourth quarter, and I never do that. I never do that ever, no matter what's going on in a game. And I just could not take it anymore. So
we've all been there. We've all shut the game off at one point or another. I'm guilty of it. I've done it too.
You know, I'll give credit to Oregon. They're really good. That offensive line is fantastic. The defensive line, those defensive ends are really good. They have playmakers. They have speed everywhere. Their secondaries, you know, very, very talented. But yeah, guys, I don't know. It's been a weird season, and that Minnesota is a different team on the road than they are at home. And that's just been true all year. And I thought by this point in the season, they would have grown out of that a little bit, but they just continue to have, and coming off a bye week, I think that's what frustrates me the most. Because historically, PJ Fleck teams are very good off of bye weeks, and coming off a bye week to play that piss poor was just really upsetting. But I know we got a lot of games to get to, so I can get off my soapbox and stop ranting.
You're good, brother. That's why we're here, to hear rants about our teams and what we think about everybody else. So while we're on that ranting, let's keep that energy up. So last night, the Clemson Tigers rolled into Louisville to take on Big Game From and his Louisville Cardinal faithful after coming off the heartbreak loss that we were talking about last weekend to the Cal Bears, is it? I think.
Yep, Golden Bears.
Golden Bears. So, guys, let's talk about this Clemson team that everyone thought was dead, probably still is dead, but they managed to actually beat a limping Cardinal. Thoughts on the game last night, Mike?
I mean, I was shocked for Jeff Brom to have 2 games in a row like this, where the offense just kind of didn't show up and do what you expect a Jeff Brom coached offense to do. You know, Miller Moss over, just over 200 yards passing.
Uh-oh. I think we lost Mike.
Well, that's not good.
Well, let me bring up one thing. Have you noticed that for like the last 2 years, like every game that Louisville has lost has been both ridiculously close and ridiculously stupid in the way that they lose it?
Yeah. They're not really good. I mean, they either win big games or they manage to find a way to lose games they shouldn't.
Just in the craziest, like, just it's always by some stupid small margin and off some stupid mistake.
Mike, you back with us, brother?
I am. Yeah, I don't know what happened. It just dropped.
Yeah, you were mid-flight, and then you just disappeared. And Eric's like, "Did we lose Mike?" I was like, "Oh shit, we lost Mike."
Yeah,
but we got Mike back. So, TJ,
what?
Well, you talk about the quarterback.
Oh yeah, Miller Moss. I was just saying he's had his moments under Brom, but he hasn't been quite as good as I thought he would be this year in a Jeff Brom offense. And it's like, you see, they scored 19 points this week. They scored 26 points last week. Like, you expect more. Jeff Brom is an offensive guru. He's a quarterback whisperer. You expect Jeff Brom offenses to put up points. And for them to fail to put up, any even close to this time 30 points, to not put up 30 points 2 weeks in a row against teams that aren't that good, teams that have had rough years in Cal and Clemson. When you were right there, Louisville, right with a path to the playoff, and the ACC title, it's a collapse. It's a bad collapse. And
yeah,
I think Jeff Brom has maybe played himself out of talk for some of those job openings, probably these last couple of weeks.
Virginia Tech saw that game and they're like, never mind, we'll sign James Franklin instead.
Now Now, is that him doing that on purpose so that he gets to stay at his alma mater?
I mean, I don't think so. He's a pretty competitive guy, Brom. In my experience with him, I can't imagine he would drop anything on purpose. I think he probably wants to be in Louisville long term, but I can't imagine he would, actually do that. Clemson's such an interesting team because they're so talented, but so hit and miss. And they just, Cade Klubnik continues to be, not as good as you expected him to be this year.
I thought they were comparing him to Matt Leinart type stuff like at the beginning of the season. And I'm like, we talking about, I think you were talking about the wrong Matthew here, but I think, some other Matts that come to mind when we want to talk about Matt, but yeah.
Is it just me, or does it seem like that Lincoln Riley's offense makes good quarterbacks look great and makes mediocre quarterbacks look way better than they are? Look at every quarterback that's come out of that system in the last few years and what they've done after they left. They always look like less of a quarterback than they were under Lincoln Riley.
Possibly.
Yeah, it's an interesting theory. I mean, Lincoln Riley usually has pretty good clay to work with at quarterback. But I agree. I thought Miller Moss was going to be better at Louisville this year than he has been. And I thought Louisville would make a real run for the ACC title. So I guess I'm surprised that hasn't happened.
As am I. So, without further ado, let's jump right into these matchups, fellas. Top ranked of the week, we got 9th ranked Notre Dame Irish visiting the 24 ranked Pittsburgh. Not really sure what their mascot is, but
Panthers.
The Panthers. Aaron Darnold's alma mater. Spread is now 12.5. And guys, I'm going to say this again. These numbers did change between about 5 a.m. and when I just had to update them right before the show. Again, craziness. America has a serious gambling problem.
Oh, America. That's a whole different podcast, Lucian.
You're right.
About America's out of control gambling problem. We could go for a long time on that. I have a buddy who got himself into 6 figures of gambling debt. And luckily, he comes from family money because it ended up being okay for him. But yeah, 6 figures of gambling debt. So yeah, kids, gambling is not as glamorous as it looks like. So I would stay clear of that. At least in big numbers, stay clear of that.
Right.
This game, we got to talk about Pitt coach Pat Narduzzi right away in his comments. Do you see this, you guys?
I did not. What was the comments?
He said, I would gladly get beat 110-10 in that game, talking about Notre Dame. He says they can put up 100 on us as long as we win the next 2 after that. It's not an ACC game. Interesting, right? He basically took all the pressure off his team, said this game doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if we win or not. We can still win the ACC title, even if we lose. Notre Dame's not an ACC team. Pressure's off.
Really?
Yeah, he said that. Interesting, right? That's an interesting tactic to be like this game to send out the message. Maybe he just wants his guys to play loose. And so he's just saying, and he's feeling they're tight in the locker room. And he's like, guys, let's just go play football. Not worry about it. But I've never seen a coach do that before. Say it doesn't matter if we win this game or not. I've never seen a coach do that ever.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. He actually really said that.
Yeah.
Especially if they don't have like a losing record.
No,
right.
No, they're playing. Pitt's having a good year.
Yeah, but that's gonna affect possible playoff appearance, right? A loss.
Oh yeah, a loss would kill them. A loss would kill them playoff wise. But I guess I think he was speaking strictly in the ACC title race.
So he's assuming that their only path to the playoff is to win that ACC title, basically.
Yeah,
is what I'm getting at. Okay, well, I don't really see that happening, especially if you lose a game. I'm not really pro losing on purpose or playing. I mean, I get if you want your players to play loose, but like saying that you don't care if they lose directly to them, I'm not on board with that. Eric, what are your thoughts on that before we dive into the actual game part?
Wait, I'm sorry. Say that again. I was trying to figure out why the YouTube feed is the way it is. What was the question? I'm sorry.
I was saying that I was asking, how do you feel about the coach's remarks to his team about they don't care? He doesn't care if they lose this game.
I mean, I don't like it. I mean,
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
when I was a player, if my coach came and said that to me, it'd make me think like, well, I mean, if your head's not in trying to win, why are we trying to win? Like, it's like,
Yes.
you take sort of your attitude for game day from the coach, and if he's got that just like casual demeanor about the game, I'm not sure I want to go out there and get beat up for 3 hours.
That's how players get hurt, in my opinion. If people aren't going hard, they're going through the motions. Like that's
Right.
when people get hurt. I don't like that at all.
But Narduzzi says a lot of things that are weird. I mean, does anybody remember when Narduzzi, after Kenny Pickett was a Heisman finalist, he said, I think we passed the ball too much this year. I think we should run it more. This is Narduzzi, man. He just says stuff like this on the regular in the press.
If he was Minnesota's coach, how would you feel about him saying this stuff?
Oh, I'd be livid. I'd be so mad. Are you kidding me? Every game matters. Every game matters. You get 12 of them.
So
this isn't basketball.
Why would he say that? Is it because he doesn't think that they can beat?
I don't know.
I don't care regardless of the situation. You can't say that to kids, man. And that's what a lot of these, I mean, they're kids. Yes. You can't really say that to adults the way people's minds are these days.
Right.
But I mean, okay, that's going to change I already had Notre Dame winning big, at least by 2 touchdowns. But now in saying that, I think Notre Dame's probably going to put a big old stamper. I mean, actually, my score's probably not going to change too much. I got Notre Dame 42, Pittsburgh 18. I already was thinking they were going to get shellacked, but I mean, that just further.
I mean, I'm right there with you, man. The score that I have written down is literally 42-17. So I'm right there with you. I think that Notre Dame's playing to try to prove that they deserve to be in the playoffs, and apparently Pitt's playing to have a good time. I don't know.
I mean, hopefully they break out some freshmen that actually want to compete, because if this is the attitude, I mean, yeah.
I mean, Mason Heinschel, though, for Pitt, to be fair, at quarterback, since they put him in mid-season as a freshman, he's been really good. They've won 5 in a row with him at quarterback. He's a very promising, up-and-coming young player. But I'm with you guys. I don't think Pitt has enough to roll with Notre Dame. I just think in the trenches, Notre Dame's better. You've got Notre Dame, you got 2 running backs and Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price averaging 6 or more yards per carry on a significant amount of carries. And I think Notre Dame's going to run the ball. I think they're going to bully Pitt, push them around a little bit. And I think Mason Heinschel is going to be under a lot of duress, when he's going back to pass. So I've got Notre Dame 34, Pitt 17.
Wow. I love how all of our scores are, again, within like 6 to 7 points.
Right.
Yeah. That's when we're all of almost sound mind. But on the flip side, if we come back next week and we're talking about somehow Pitt, that message fired up his team enough, and then Pitt somehow knocks off Notre Dame, that will make me happy.
Oh, yeah. I've always root for Notre Dame to lose in every game.
Yeah, same.
My dad taught me to hate Notre Dame from an early age.
It's really weird. It's really weird having growing up hating Notre Dame this long and hating Ohio State. And I can't help but like their head coach who played at Ohio State and coaches at Notre Dame.
Marcus Freeman.
It's really, it's hard not to like the dude, but I really want Notre Dame to lose.
But you have to hate him. Trust me. I mean, I don't understand that because my hatred's blatant no matter who's coaching. I mean, if you become the head coach, I automatically hate you too.
I know,
That's
but
how that
he's
goes.
just such a he just seems like a good dude, man.
You know what? I mean,
they're not as hateable as they were under Brian Kelly, that's for sure.
True. Or Charlie Weiss.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You're right, but I mean, you still gotta hate him. It's this a responsibility we have.
That's true.
So, okay, obviously we got that done and over with, and that's some interesting drama, Mike. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Moving on to the 21st ranked Iowa Hawkeyes versus the 7-2, 17th ranked USC Trojans are a 6.5 point favorite. Mike, what do you got on this one?
I think that the rain is coming for Los Angeles. And if you look, it's supposed to rain all day today in LA. That is some Iowa weather if I've ever seen it. Iowa was this close last week. They were physical enough. They were tough enough. They just couldn't make quite enough plays offensively. And I think Oregon is a better team than USC is. Personally, I think Iowa's going to go ham on the ground today. I think Gronowski as a dual threat comes into play. I don't know if this USC defense has seen a running game like this or a defense like this. Look, Jaden Mayava is great for USC. Fantastic. But my issue with USC always in a close, tough game is that it's not enough for Lincoln Riley to win. He needs to look like a genius while he's doing it. And I think about Notre Dame when they played Notre Dame a couple weeks ago and in the rain coming back about to tie the game. And he calls a wide receiver reverse pass in the pouring rain, which leads to a turnover, which, then they end up losing by 10 or whatever. I think that something like that is going to happen today. I think the Lincoln Riley hubris is going to be out. I think Lincoln Riley should probably show up and try to run the ball a lot today. And I think he's going to throw the ball more than he should against a very good Iowa secondary. So I think it's close. I think it's hard fought, back and forth all game. But I think Iowa is the more physical team. I think they have the clear identity in knowing what they want to do on a day like this in a rainstorm. So give me the Iowa Hawkeyes 23, USC 20.
Yeah, so okay. First of all, what do you mean they haven't seen a running game like this? They played against Justice Haynes when he was on track for a Heisman season. They played against Jeremiah Love.
No, that's true. No, you're right. I misspoke there. Yeah. No, you're right. They played some good running games. For sure.
But no, I think it will be a close game. But I think that, again, using our Michigan's game against USC as an example here, when they need to run it, they can run it. They went 3 deep on the running back depth chart, and we're still running it against a decent young but good defense. I think that I don't think Iowa's going to be high-powered. I'm not a believer in Gronowski, but I am a believer in Mekhi Lemon, and I think that he's going to have a good game even against a tough defense.
Yeah.
I think that USC's offense has too many weapons. That they will break through. I'm with you that I think Iowa's at 23, but I think they lose to USC, who will have 30 points in the game. It'll be 30-23 USC.
Yeah, I like USC at home. There's something about them. I don't think that California rain's going to affect them that much, especially, like I said, at home. I like USC. They got a good offense. Their defense can actually come to play. I think they can be a little bit more physical than a lot of people give them credit for. Not taking anything away from the Iowa Hawkeyes and what they got going on. I just think that USC, the way they're trending right now, I think Riley is taking the next step in his coaching evolution. So give me the Trojans 35-28.
High scoring. Okay. Interesting.
Like you said, it's going to be raining.
Yeah.
Rain leads to big plays,
It's
big
true.
turnovers.
Okay.
All right, getting
over under in this game, 2 defensive scores in this game.
I mean, I think it's close. I would push. I do think people are going to score on defense here.
Yeah, I'd say over. Jumping right into it, we have the 12th ranked Sooners visiting the 4th ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. What do you guys got on this one before I go ham on it?
I mean, you're going to let us all know why you think that Mateer is going to have a career day, right, Lucian?
I mean, I think the stage is set. I think he's had enough time to get better. I think obviously aren't they coming off a bye week, so they had a lot of time to put some new stuff in that we obviously don't have film on. And like I said, when you come off a bye, you're expecting a team to have certain things that you haven't seen, wrinkles in their offense that you have to be ready for, and they got to play with momentum. They have one of the best defenses in college football. They're not letting people run the football. Not that it matters against us because we don't run the football effectively anyways, but they do rush the passer effectively from both the interior and exterior of their defensive line. I think they're probably one of the only teams in college football that can say that. They have an effective pass rush from both their defensive tackles and their defensive ends. They got a couple guys in the secondary that can make plays on the football. They're linebackers. This is probably my favorite, other than Alabama, linebacking core in the country. They play absolutely outstanding in their scheme, and it's going to be a good test for us. It's going to be a great battle. This is what you want in November if you're an SEC football fan. This is absolutely a clash of 2 titans that are going to both wanting to make names for yourselves. You got 2 quarterbacks, and John Mateer, who was the Heisman favorite until he got injured, and then you basically had Ty Simpson come in and pick up that mantle from where it was left off by John Mateer, who has managed to bring this Alabama Crimson Tide team back from the brink of what everybody called an extinction level event, and has actually put them trajectory as one of the best teams in the country after surviving a gauntlet of 4 weeks of absolutely gauntlet ranked football, something that no one's done in a very long time, and then just beating some teams that, they're not ranked, but they have absolutely just unheard of athletes that can do some amazing things that can cause teams heartaches. So it's going to be a battle, but I think the Crimson Tide are going to take care of business again. I think we're going to cover. I think you're going to see some new things from both teams, and I think it's going to be a great afternoon game.
So
Eric,
yeah. So what's when I was trying to look up for this game, are you guys missing guys on defense in your secondary and on offense at tight end?
not anybody that matters. No, we have a backup that is the one guy that got in trouble. He's still out, but he wasn't a starter. I mean, he contributed, but he wasn't a starter. And then we do have a tight end hurt, but in my opinion, the true freshman that has been playing has better numbers, so that's not really effective. Everyone's playing, and we actually might be getting 2 defensive players back today, so that could actually one of those was a starter. So if we get him back in the rotation, that's actually going to be trending up. Whereas Oklahoma's got some guys that are banged up, and it said I don't know if that R. Mason Thomas dude isn't playing. He was probable.
Well, and I think they got a couple injuries on the offensive line too.
Right, and I know Jaren Jackson, another one of their defensive tackles, he was questionable too. So if they don't have that R. Mason dude or Jaren Jackson, that's gonna affect the depth and their pass rush. But I like our tackles in a matchup against these type of ends because they're not 6'7" with an 84-inch wingspan and running a 4.4 and just like they're normal edge rushers. And the thing about all their defense is they're not like super tall. They're all like 6'2", 6'3", 6'1", and in most situations that would maybe give teams a struggle, but with the way our tackles are set up and these guys aren't overly bendy of the edge, I like our tackles in this situation, and as well as on our interior, I like the matchup between our center and guards versus their defensive tackles.
Yeah, I mean that makes me feel a little bit better with my prediction, because like I figured this game was going to come down to you guys just being able to win in the trenches, especially with their injuries that they've got on both sides of the line. But I was seeing different things that I wasn't sure. That some of them were saying that you guys were like thin at defensive back, cornerback, with injuries, and that there was something with the tight end. So I wasn't sure, but that makes me feel better. So I had this game written down as a 28-20 win for Bama, and I just think that they just got a talent edge over Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's playing really well, but they're still basically in like a rebuild from last year. I the last few weeks I've sort of beat up on John Mateer because of his accuracy issues with his thumb. I think that's fine. He's fine now, from everything that I've seen. But I just don't think that they have the horses to go all the way against Alabama today.
Mike?
These are kind of two similar teams. They both play really good defense. They both have talented, dynamic, playmaking quarterbacks and good options out wide. And neither team is great at running the ball. I think the difference is that Mateer, I know some of it was his hurt hand, but Mateer has thrown, I think, 8 touchdowns and 7 picks or something like that. Whereas, Ty Simpson, his touchdown interception ratio is incredible.
20-1.
20-1. Yeah.
Knock on wood.
I think that, I hate to be the guy who brings it down to that, but I think, Brent Venables in Oklahoma, they have one of the best defenses in the country. Brent Venables is a defensive genius, but a lot of the times when he just shuts down a quarterback, it's a younger quarterback who hasn't seen a lot yet. Ty Simpson's seen a lot. He's seen it all. He's been around a long time. So I don't think you're going to rattle him. I don't think that, showing one thing pre-snap and doing another thing post-snap is going to get to him and throw him out of his rhythm at all. I just think that, and I like Alabama's receivers just a little more than I like Oklahoma's, although Oklahoma's receivers are pretty good too.
This game was earlier in the season. I think it'd be a little bit different.
Yes.
But after Ty's going through Georgia, Tennessee, played in South Carolina, played at that LSU pass rush, I think, I think he's ready.
Yeah, no, I do too. And that's why I've got Alabama 27, Oklahoma 20.
Wow. See, those scores are almost identical.
Yeah.
Almost identical. So, without further ado, the nightcap on ABC and the SEC. The 10th-ranked Longhorns roll into Athens, Georgia to face a Bulldog team that is absolutely salivating to get their hands on these Longhorns. Guys, let's talk about it. Mike, what do you got for me?
This is a big one. This is a big one. This has big SEC title implications, big playoff implications. If Texas wants a chance to make the playoff, they absolutely have to win. It was a really hard start to the year, but Arch Manning's gotten better. He's done more things in recent weeks. He's had a little more success. Obviously Texas has a fantastic defense. I think that's a big factor in this game. Georgia has a great defense too, but Georgia doesn't have the pass rushing weapons that they've had in the past. They aren't going to light you up. They don't have the defensive line that's going to dominate you the way you think of a Kirby Smart team dominating. And, I think Texas is good. I think they've improved a lot. I think they're on the right track. But this is Georgia, and this game's in Athens, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So Georgia at home, at night, I think Gunnar Stockton is decent, and I'm not sure how much he's really going to have to do, because I do think that Georgia's defense is going to come to play, and I think they're going to run the ball with some, they're going to try to run the ball and see if they can do that with some success. So I don't have a good feel on this game. I'm going to pick Georgia, but I don't have a ton of confidence that that's, whether or not that's a good pick or not. So I've got Georgia winning this one 30-24.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really a whole lot I can add to that because I pretty much agree with everything that Mike just said. I think it's going to be a little bit lower of a scoring game and a little bit closer. I've got it written down for 27-23. But I just think it really comes down to Georgia's at home. And I just haven't seen enough from Texas to believe that they can go into Athens and pull out the win. But yeah, I mean, like literally you broke it down so well. There's nothing I can add to that.
Yeah, so Georgia does run the ball extremely well, especially between the tackles. And I think that's someplace that Texas has had a problem. Not necessarily a problem, but they have been able to get got. And Georgia has some bull type of running backs, and they play downhill. And if they get time of possession, they can make it very difficult for Texas. And Texas isn't real good on the road. Let's face it, they've gotten in some overtime battles with some teams that they shouldn't have. And I think Kirby Smart knows Sark a little too well. And I think they match up, since Texas doesn't have I don't say they have really good weapons, but since they don't have any jaw-dropping weapons to go against Georgia, I think it's going to be scheme on scheme. And I think Kirby Smart and Glenn Schumann eventually put the clamps on Arch and what they're trying to do in their system. But yeah, give me Georgia 28, Texas 20.
Doesn't it seem like with Steve Sarkisian being the offensive guy, the guru that he is, that Texas should be better at receiver than they are?
Well, he gets 5 stars. I'm not so sure
Right.
There's a coach. I think it might be a coaching. They need to get someone that actually knows how to coach wide receivers. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you completely. Now we get into the top matchups of week 12. We have the number 18th ranked Michigan Wolverines versus the Northwestern Wildcats. You have the floor.
Yeah, so I mean, just to get out of the way, Michigan's winning this game. But to go a little deeper in it, last year we came off the bye week, having not scored above 30 points all season, played Northwestern and beat them. I think it was 50-6 coming out of the bye week. And that was with Davis Warren at quarterback. Now we got Bryce Underwood. Now we got Andrew Marsh. I don't think it's going to be as high scoring, though. I think that we're going to be doing a lot more rotation with the younger players. We're already the youngest team in the Big Ten, but we're going to try to be building the depth over the next 2 weeks going into the game. So you're going to see a lot more rotation with guys like Jamar Browder, guys like Jasper Parker, Bryson Kuzdal. You're going to see a lot of Shamari Earls and Jaden Sanders on defense. You're going to see Troy Bowles. You're going to see you might see Owusu Boateng. You're going to see a lot more rotation to get guys reps, so that if we need them in that depth, to lean on that depth in the game here in 2 weeks, we're not putting guys in there that haven't played all year. So I think that you're going to see Michigan get out to a 2 or 3 score lead, and then just start kind of coasting and getting guys reps, trying to get guys healthy. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to get Justice Haynes back this season. If we do, it'll be for Ohio State or the bowl game if he needs to try to improve his draft stock. But we've said all along, do what?
He's only a junior, isn't he?
He's a junior, but he was on track to be a first-round pick this year until he got injured.
Right. So he's probably coming back.
I think what it comes down to is he's going to, he's gonna submit the thing to the NFLPA to get his draft projection, and if they tell him he's projected for first or second round, I think he's gone. If they tell him a good bowl game will improve his stock to a first or second round, then he's probably gone, because he's going to play in whatever bowl game we have. He's going to have a good game. But if he's going to be like a late second into third round pick, I think he comes back, because you look at what he was on pace to do this year, and he's going to come back to a team that's not really going to lose anybody going into next year. I mean, we will, but not really. And it'll just be another year of experience with that team and whoever we bring in the transfer portal. And there's no reason to think he can't do what he was on pace to do this year. So, but I don't think we're going to see him at the earliest. We'll get him back for the Ohio State game. And I really don't expect that. But we also got Jordan Marshall. And Jordan Marshall, I told you guys a couple weeks ago, I love watching him run. His style is just fun to watch. He never goes down on the first hit. The second hit, he moves the pile every time. And he is built for November football in the Big Ten. He's the type of back that makes defensive players not want to come back into the game. And I think we're going to lean on him in a big way the next couple of weeks. Hopefully Bryce gets his feet back under him and settles down coming out of the bye week. And you see us really tighten up for the final few weeks. But this is just going to be it's an interesting game too, because I don't know if you knew this, Lucian. It's at Wrigley Field.
Really?
Yeah.
I
Neutral site,
I knew
baby.
this. I knew this.
Neutral site.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like not even an hour away from Northwestern's campus.
No, it's close to Northwestern, but there's gonna be more Michigan fans there than Northwestern fans.
Right.
Sure.
But yeah, so it's not going to be
You're
a
close
true home game.
finals, Eric. The Northwestern fans aren't watching football now. They're studying.
But yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see a lot of rotation. I think you're going to see Bryce come out looking better out of the bye week. I think you're going to see a big game from Jordan Marshall. But again, just look for the depth, look for the rotation. Bryson Kuzdal, man, his story, walk-on running back, and really just like had a coming out party at the spring game, and then just had over the course of the season has just been getting more and more minutes and showing himself to be fast, reliable, able to push the pile. Just a great story for Bryson Kuzdal. I think the offensive line is really gelling at this point in the season. Unfortunately, it took an injury to Evan Link for that to happen, but Blake Frazier coming in at left tackle he's been our highest graded pass protector since he came in. So I don't know. I'm really excited for the game. I'm going to have fun with it. It's Wrigley Field, and as far as I'm concerned, it's the kickoff for a string of wins for the next 3 weeks.
Love that. I think Michigan rolls big. I got them 35-17.
Oh, I didn't give the score prediction.
Well, you can't give a score prediction. It's your own team.
That's true.
It's bad juju.
That's true.
Moving right along. Wait,
hold on. Can I get in on this one?
Oh, you didn't go?
No.
Oh, my bad.
So Northwestern's a really interesting team compared to Michigan in that Northwestern kind of is Michigan.
Yeah,
They play defense. They run the ball well. When Cam Porter got hurt early in the year, I thought Northwestern was cooked. But Caleb Kolamafe is a better running back even than Cam Porter was. I mean, he's very good. You talk about a guy who's physical, Eric. He's a physical running back, gets himself going forward, one cut, bounces off guys. He does a really nice job in the running game. The problem is that Northwestern, like I said, both teams run the ball with Caleb Kolamafe for Northwestern and, like you said, Jordan Marshall for Michigan, both physical running backs. Both teams play good defense with good defensive lines and pretty decent corners. And both teams have quarterbacks that they don't want to expose to too much yet. Bryce Underwood because he's a freshman, and Preston Stone because he frankly isn't very good.
Right.
Has almost as many interceptions as touchdowns. His completion percentage is under 60% for the year. You know, they basically only have the one wide receiver who's worth anything in Griffin Wilde. So Northwestern is a plucky, decent Big Ten team. I think David Braun's done a great job coaching there, but they are basically Michigan light. They are a less talented version of Michigan. And I think the speed differential when you go from it, because Northwestern's a little slower than the average Big Ten team, and Michigan's faster than the average Big Ten team. And I think that speed differential is the difference in this game. I expect it to not, I don't think it's going to be very high scoring, but I do think that Michigan, you know, finds a way to win this comfortably. So I've got Michigan Wolverines 27, Northwestern 10.
So just real quick, a couple things that I forgot to bring up here. So just a side-by-side comparison of a couple things here. On the season, Michigan is averaging 25.7 points per game. Northwestern, 22.1. Points allowed, Michigan's allowing 18.4, Northwestern 24.6. Passing yards, it's about a 30 to 40 yard difference on average for both passing and rushing yards. Just under 200 passing yards for Michigan, and just under 170 for Michigan on rushing yards, and about 30 to 40 less for Northwestern. But I think the biggest factor in us winning and why I'm not worried today, Michigan has forced at least one turnover in every game this year. They are 10th in the country with a +8 on the turnover margin. Northwestern is -5. They're ranked 112th in the country. That's a big difference. And I think that's going to be like the sort of the nail in the coffin is just there's going to be a turnover that seals it. And it may not be late in the game. It might be, you know, end of the first half, early in the second half, and it's over at that point because of a turnover.
And Preston Stone will throw balls up for grabs.
Yeah.
He will do that.
Interesting. So, yeah, looks like the Michigan Wolverines are going to take care of that one. Sorry about that, Mike.
Oh, no worries.
Moving right along now to the American Conference, the 24th-ranked South Florida Bulls and the Navy are going to get down in battle today. This is going to be a very interesting matchup. Two unconventional teams that really don't match up well against each other. Mike, what do you got on this one?
I mean, you got to love Blake Horvath for Navy. You got to. I mean, he's your stereotypical option quarterback. He's got just 1,150 yards on the season, but completing almost 64% of his passes. And then on the ground, he's got almost 1,000 yards rushing already on 6.7 yards per rush. I mean, that is moving the chains. That the whole Navy offense is built out of him. You know, everything else they do, you know, comes out of what he does. I think he's a great option quarterback. I like him a lot, but this is South Florida, and South Florida is really talented. And when the service academies run into talented teams, physically talented teams, it usually doesn't go very well because they have weight limits and whatnot. And I just think, you know, for South Florida, Byron Brown is having a really nice year. 2,200 yards passing, almost 65% completions, 8.45 yards per attempt, 19 TDs to just 6 picks. He does take some sacks, so you can get to him that way. You know, you have to be aggressive. But, you know, I just think, you know, South Florida is really balanced. They have, you know, almost as many yards rushing this season as passing. I think that's just too much for Navy, you know, at a certain point. So I think this will be close for a while, but eventually the South Florida Bulls pull away from the midshipmen. So I've got the Bulls 35, Navy 20.
It's crazy how close a lot of our scores are today. I think it'll be a really fun game. It's kind of like a styles matchup that's just going to be interesting to watch. The option attack for Navy. I think USF's offense is just really explosive this year. I think it'll be a fun game to watch. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be doing much watching of it because I'll be doing the watch along for the Michigan game at the same time. But it's one that if I am able to, I'm going to go back and watch back just because I think it'll be fun to watch. I think like you, I think it's going to be really fun and close for the first 2.5, 3 quarters. But I think ultimately it's going to be like a 35-24 game USF. Despite what Paul Feinbaum thinks, I do think that South Florida is legit this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I can't disagree with you guys. I do know that South Florida quarterback is a big dude, and hitting him for 4 quarters is not going to be any fun. So I got the South Florida Bulls 38-24. Moving right along, we have the 25th ranked Cincinnati Bearcats taking on the 6-3 Arizona Wildcats. What are you guys' thoughts on this one? Eric, talk to me.
I'm not. So this is the opposite of the South Florida Navy game. I am not excited to watch this game at all. So thankfully, I'll not be watching that one while I'm on the podcast on the watch along. I don't know. I mean, I think it could go either way. I think it'll be close. I think that Arizona's got some injuries in the at cornerback. I think Cincinnati's probably a little bit of a more balanced offense. And I think they're just a healthier team. So I'm going to give the edge to Cincinnati here. I'll say Cincinnati wins 31-24.
Mike.
Yeah, I think that Brendan Sorsby is playing at a really high level for Cincinnati. He's really come a long way from when he was an interception machine for Iowa or for Indiana, a couple of years ago.
The pre-Signetti years.
Yes, the pre-Signetti reality when Indiana was a very different program from what it is now.
They were still a basketball school.
Still a basketball school, exactly. And he would just throw balls up for grabs. But he has improved on that immensely. If you look at him on the year, 21 TDs, just 2 interceptions. And one of those was in the very first game, trying to win the game, throwing it in the end zone against Nebraska. So since week 1, he's only had 1 interception. I think that's really impressive. Like Fafita for Arizona is a fun player. I think he's somewhat physically limited in what he can do just because he doesn't have the biggest arm in the world or anything. So I don't know. I don't have a great feel for where Arizona's at right now. I think I'm going to take Cincinnati to win like 31-20 because I think Arizona will hang around, but I'm with you. I think that Cincinnati is the more balanced team, and I think they have a little more to play for at this point, just where they are, in the season. So yeah, give me Cincinnati.
Yeah, I can't disagree with anything you guys said. I think the Bearcats need a bounce back game, and I think this is it. Give me the Bearcats 35-17 in a big one. All right, moving right along, we have the afternoon ballot matchups. 5-4 North Carolina State Wolfpack versus the 15th ranked Miami Hurricanes. Talk to me, fellas. What do you got on this one? Miami. This is Miami. This is interesting. I wanted to put this out there. This spread has now changed. It was a little bit higher earlier this morning when I did this graphic. It changed, and I had to edit it before the show. It is now less than what it originally was. So it's trending downward.
Yeah, this is another one that I'm just not really excited to watch. I think just to keep this one real simple and then pass it to Mike, I think that comes down to the fact that NC State's defense is riddled with injuries. Miami's, for the most part, pretty healthy. as much as I feel like Miami's kind of cooked with Carson Beck kind of starting to throw everyone under the bus, I think Miami's just too talented not to win this game. And I think it's going to be a 38-21 win for Miami.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is a big Malachi Tony game. I think he's having a bust out kind of year at times. So I think he can get going a lot in this one. Look, Dave Doran's a really good coach. He runs a very strong program. They win like 8 games or 9 games almost every year. So I have a lot of respect for what he does. I think he's a good coach. I think they will play solid. I think they'll hang in there for a while, but ultimately Miami's too talented and Miami needs style points. They need style points. If they are going to get to the playoff and get to where they want to be and what those early season goals were, if they're still going to have any chance of that, they can't just win out. They got to win big. So I think there's every incentive for Miami to try to come in here and run up the score if they can. So I think they will. I've got the Miami Hurricanes 34, NC State Wolfpack 14.
Yeah, Miami. This is a huge game for Miami, and the fact that if they don't come in here and put it to belt to ass, their season's done. Yeah, sure, they'll make a bowl game, but their hopes of making the college football playoff will end today if they don't go in and take care of business in a massive way. Like you guys said, their NC State's defense is riddled with injuries. They have to go in there and take care of business. I have Miami in a big one, 42-20 in a rout. They're at home. They gotta put on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, they absolutely got to show. They got to show up. And Carson Beck has got to stop throwing random picks. Like he's just got to. I don't know what he's even thinking. Sometimes when he throws the ball, so he's got to dial in a little more.
You get an interception.
Yep, feels
too busy trying to remember if he locked his car doors this time.
Too busy. Or too busy trying to remember what stories he's giving to all the women he's scamming on.
Right.
What was it? What was the volleyball player he was with who was like, yeah, or a basketball player, whatever she was. And she was like, yeah. I broke up with him. It's not because he cheated on me. It's because he's a bad person.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to talk bad about the team. It's fine. Like,
no, we're piling on a little bit. Carson Beck has his moments and he can be a good
player.
But like,
if you pay any attention to him,
yeah,
you already knew all of that. If you watched him at all at Georgia, his mannerisms, his body language, the things he said, it's not a surprise.
Yeah.
No. No, I mean, when she said that, I was like, yeah, I mean, do you guys not watch interviews? Like,
right.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious. I don't really see how even if they win this game, they're going to get in the playoffs.
I mean, probably not, but I'm sure they're thinking if we win by enough points every week, we can get it.
I don't see a 2-loss ACC team getting in.
No, probably not. But I guarantee you that's not what Mario Cristobal is telling them in the locker room.
I mean, there's like 5 teams ahead of them.
So you're saying Cristobal's not pulling a Narduzzi?
No, I think Cristobal, if anything, is lying to his team, telling them they have a better chance than they do as long as they take care of business.
I agree on that one. All right, so that's enough of that talk. Everybody's got Miami obviously winning that one. Next, we have the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets versus the ever-imploding Bill O'Brien project, the Boston College Eagles. Fellas, talk to me briefly about this one.
Speaking of Bill O'Brien, do you think anybody regrets a career move more than him right now?
He should have never left Penn State.
I wasn't even talking about that. I'm talking about he was hired on as Ohio State's offensive coordinator for 2024.
Yep.
And then decided to leave after he accepted the job to go be the head coach at Boston College. Watch them win a national championship. And in his second year is 1-9.
Guys, but you forget they might not win a national championship if he's calling plays.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because he
that's
did
true.
take a Heisman Trophy winning Bryce Young and somehow have him put up worse numbers than he did as a sophomore, which is still baffling to me, but that's a whole different show. And I personally don't like that guy one bit because obviously somehow you make a Heisman Trophy winner digress is just astronomical to me. But in this one, obviously, I got Georgia Tech rolling big in this one. 24-6. What do you guys got score-wise?
Yeah, this is the wrong week to get Georgia Tech because they're pissed because they finally lost a game.
Yep.
And Haynes King is going to come out breathing fire. I have a feeling he's going to lower his shoulder into the first linebacker or safety he sees. And I think Georgia Tech is gonna go ham here. So yeah, I mean, I think give me Georgia Tech 42, Boston College 16.
Yeah, you're giving them more credit than I am. When does Georgia Tech play Georgia? That happens soon, right?
End of the year.
Yeah.
Yep. Clean old-fashioned
So, like you said, I think Georgia Tech comes out with fire in their eyes, but they're going to look at Boston College as their cupcake warm up as they're getting ready for Georgia. I think they're just going to destroy them. I think it's going to be like Georgia Tech 37, Boston College 9.
Yeah, I don't think they're scoring a touchdown. That's why I said 24-6. Because I don't think Boston College is scoring a touchdown on the Yellow Jackets today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm being generous thinking that they're going to get 3 field goals and get in range for and make 3 field goals. But I just think that Georgia Tech's offense is going to go off. I think they're going to score in the high 30s.
See, I think Boston College is going to score late. I think Georgia Tech's going to get way ahead, and then it's going to be like Boston College tacks on some points after. It doesn't matter.
I could see that. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, moving right along to a matchup that I was telling you guys about before the show. Number 19, Virginia versus 5-4 Duke. Duke is favored in this game. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Duke is favored because of the injuries to Virginia's offensive line. But I think this ultimately is going to come down to a defensive battle. I think we're probably looking at a very low scoring game. I think it's going to be just like an old school defensive game, and it's just going to be like 17-14 Duke, but I do think Duke pulls it out.
Yeah, I like Duke here also. I think it's close. I think it's ugly, but I just trust Darian Mensah. Yep. And I'm not saying that Chandler Morris is bad. I'm not saying he's a bad player at all, but I think Darian Mensah is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. He's having, an absolutely fantastic season. I mean, his numbers are, video game-esque. The guy's got, I think, what's he got, like 2,800 yards passing or something already? Yeah, 2,800 yards passing, and with still this many games left. So yeah, I think Duke wins, but I think it's close. I'm with you. I think it's ugly. I think it's something like 27-21 or 27-20 Duke.
Wow. Interesting. With the injuries, with all that, I'm still going to ride with the Virginia on this one. They've proven me wrong at every standpoint, and I haven't taken them. So they've made me a believer. I know injuries happen, but I mean that's why you have to have that next man up mentality. And I think Virginia is a team that it can withstand this injury. I know what the spread says, but give me UVA score 35-27. All right, moving right along to the evening portion. We got the Florida Gators visiting the Ole Miss 7th ranked 9-1 Rebels. Talk to me, fellas. What do you got on this one?
I mean, I think Lane Kiffin's rolling. I think he's making the playoffs this year. I think Florida is really kind of they're flailing. They're trying to find themselves, and Ole Miss is not the team they want to go up against right now. It's like every win that Lane Kiffin gets from this point forward is just adding more zeros to his next contract, whether it's at Ole Miss or LSU or Florida or wherever. I just think he's rolling. I think this is going to be Lane Kiffin's best year as a head coach. I don't see Florida being able to pull this one out. I'm gonna say Ole Miss is I'll say 34-21. I mean, Ole Miss is healthy. Florida's not really, and I like where Ole Miss is at.
Lane Kiffin has Ole Miss humming at such a high level, and they are clicking offensively, and Trinidad Chambliss is everything you want, and Kawan Lacey is a fantastic running back, and you've got Wallace and Alexander at wide receiver. You got a really good tight end. Yeah, and Ole Miss is still a very good defensive team. Maybe not as good defensively as they were last year, but still a good defensive team. I think there's potential for Florida to quit in this game. I think there's potential for Florida to get behind by enough that they just flat out quit. And that's what I think is going to happen. So I've got Ole Miss 38, Florida 13. I think that I might be crazy, but I think Florida's teetering on the edge of just deciding they want to pack it in.
No, I'm smiling because I absolutely agree with you because my score is pretty much spot on with what you guys said. Ole Miss right now is playing great football. Their defense is playing better. Their pass rush is now starting to come alive. And with Florida's question about who they're going to roll out there at quarterback now, I think this is a big Lane Kiffin win. And I think the Gators will quit. I think I have the score at 37-17, but I think I'm gonna dial that back to 37-13 Ole Miss in a big way. Next we have the 13th ranked Utah Utes visiting the Baylor Bears. This also changed. It's now 8.5 Utah. Folks, talk to me about this Big 12 evening matchup.
I mean, I think the line probably changed because it came out that Baylor's starting running back is out, and conversely, Utah's quarterback, who was questionable, is now looking probable to play. So that's probably the explains the movement in the line. I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll come down to a defensive stop late. I think Utah wins 28-20.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Baylor's got a nice quarterback. It's Baron Morton, right?
No, that's Texas Tech.
Oh, that's Texas Tech.
I think Dampier that transferred from New Mexico.
It came down.
No, for Baylor. No, I meant.
Oh, for Baylor. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, Dampier is is for Utah.
Who was at Baylor?
Okay, Sawyer Robertson. I don't know. I mixed them up, but he's having a really nice year. He's a good player. He keeps them in games. Baylor's not as good on defense as they usually are. Like as you would expect a Dave Aranda coach team to be. They just aren't. So I think Utah is going to be the more physical team here. I think this, they're going to put it on them a little bit. The total is, it's probably makes sense, but yeah, I think it's like 34-21 Utah, something like that. I think Baylor hangs and is like in this game. I think Sawyer Robertson is a good enough player for that, but I just think there's a disparity in line of scrimmage play here, and that Utah is the tougher team up front.
So to speak to what I was saying earlier, I had to change the graphic. The point spread actually came down. It was originally 9.5, and it
Oh,
went to 8.5 for Utah. That's why I was like, that's kind of interesting.
that is interesting.
Why did it come down? Especially before I did this, it's like not sure why it came down or what's going on. That somebody that they know something about the Utah that we don't. I know Baylor's got one sick tight end in Trigg, but I got Utah rolling big 42-26 in this one. Utah's playing at an amazing level. I don't really think the Baylor Bears are anything like they've been on defense, like you guys said earlier. I think their corners, they're serviceable, but I think against this offense, I think with the running game, I just think that Utah's going to win this big. That's why I got 42-26. Moving on to the last game on the top matchups for Week 12, we have the 6-3 Texas Christian University Horned Frogs versus the Brigham Young University Cougars. I think it is. Is it Cougars?
Yep.
Yep.
BYU is a 3.5-point favorite after that absolute shellacking that they took last week at the hands of Texas Tech. Fellas, talk to me about this one. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the spread is pretty much right on point with this. I think it's basically a toss-up game. I like TCU, but I mean, they've got a banged up defensive backfield. I think they've got some injuries along the defensive line as well. On the flip side, listen, all respect to Kalani Sitake and BYU and what they're doing. They're a big fish in a small pond. I don't think they're a top 10 caliber team. I think they're, there's a shorter distance between them and TCU than the rankings would have you believe in the last couple of weeks. And I just think this game is going to be, I think it's not going to be as ugly as the other one that we were talking about. I think it'll be it'll be right around a 55 to 60 point total between the two teams, but it's going to be like a 30. I got BYU winning 31-27, but it's really a coin flip. I mean, it could go either way.
I'm with you guys on this one. I'm actually I was actually disappointed. I was pulling for BYU to actually fight last week, and they look like they gave up most of the team. I know there's some guys out there still playing, but they did not look like they were ready to play that caliber of football. So, and I think TCU has weapons that could seriously hurt a seriously undermatched athletically BYU team. So it is a coin toss, a coin flip either way. So in saying that, give me TCU in the upset 28-26.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's 27-24 Mormons. Bear Bachmeier's a good story. The running back, LJ Martin's a good player. It's a really disappointing loss last week. But, in their defense against, there's not a lot of people who can stand up to that Texas Tech defensive front. There's not a lot of teams, especially Big 12 teams, who are going to be able to hold up to that at all. So I don't really fault them, ding them that much for that. And the game is in Provo. You're playing at elevation. I think that's an advantage for BYU. So I'll say BYU wins 27-24.
Like it. So before we end the show, let's touch on some of these blowouts real quick before E-Man's got to get out of here. All right, so obviously Indiana Hoosiers coming off a tight one with the Nittany Lions. This also moved this morning down a point. What thoughts on this one? Are we thinking Indiana's going to roll big, or is Wisconsin going to stun us?
I think Indiana's going to roll big. Here's the thing. Everyone's like, Wisconsin won last week. They still only scored 13 points. and they are
right.
averaging 12.5 points per game. They
Right.
are not just a bad offense. They're one of the worst Big Ten offenses I've ever seen. The defense is pretty good, especially the run defense. But a run defense isn't going to keep you close in this game because Indiana has Fernando Mendoza and Omar Cooper and maybe Elijah Surratt back, although I haven't seen that confirmed. But it'll be interesting to see if Elijah Surratt is back or not. I think Indiana can name its score here. Wisconsin has shown you they're not going to score more than 13 points. So if you can score more than 13 points, you are going to beat Wisconsin, is what it comes down to. And I think this game is going to be something like 42-10 Indiana.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's going to be a really big game. I have it almost at the same score. I've got 38-10. Listen, Wisconsin has Billy the Kid at quarterback. I think today we can just we can refer to Fernando Mendoza as Pat Garrett.
Yeah, I think Indiana in a big bounce back way, in a big way. Give me Indiana 45, Wisconsin 10.
He's not playing, is he? Edwards? Did you see? Is he?
Probably not, but I just wanted to get the Pat Garrett
okay.
line in there.
I was gonna say he has not played in a while, so I would be surprised if he was.
No, I just wanted to get the Pat Garrett line in there. I thought it was cool.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right, moving along, we have the number 3 ranked Texas A&M Aggies versus the South Carolina Gamecocks. They are a 17.5-point favorite at home. This is a very interesting matchup. A lot of athleticism in this game. Is about to be going head to head. Dylan Stewart, probably one of the best individual pass rushers in the country, going up against the Texas A&M offensive line that is pretty much not. That they got tested last week, so they withstood some pass rushers. So it's going to be interesting to see how convincingly they win this game today. What are you guys' thoughts?
Do you remember a couple weeks ago when I asked you guys a question about South Carolina that was basically telling you that I didn't think that Lenora Sellers or Dylan Stewart would, if they were playing college ball next year, it would not be in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And at least one of y'all thought I was crazy for saying it.
Yeah, I was wrong.
Yeah, so I think Lenora Sellers just basically checked out. He's checked out for the season. I've said all season that I think Nick Harbor has a ton of talent, but I don't think his head is in football. I don't think his heart is in football. And I think you're going to see other players like Dylan Stewart also check out. I think this is going to be a big win with Texas A&M. I'm going to say Texas A&M rolls here with their defense. They're going to cover very easily at home. Give me Texas A&M 31, South Carolina 10.
Remember earlier in the year when everybody told us that that beating South Carolina was a really good win for Vanderbilt? Just saying. South Carolina can't really run the ball. They can't really throw the ball either. A&M's clicking on all cylinders. I think they can pick their score here, and I agree with you. I think not just Lenora Sellers, but probably the whole South Carolina team is a little checked out at this point. So yeah, I think A&M is big in this one. 35 to, we'll say 6.
I'll say something though to kind of like flip side of that. On the flip side, that can make them equally just as dangerous.
Sure.
You have Shane Beamer on the road. It just kind of gives a feel that like, and it's a noon game. I mean, there's just a lot of things that are just eerie, especially like when you go up against a team that doesn't have anything to lose. When you do have athletes that could possibly turn the tides of the game, because they do have athletes that can do something. Now, whether they will or not, the jury's still out. They haven't really been able to do that. But a team getting a defining win could put them on a pace to keep a lot of these players in today, and that could be the message that Shane Beamer's saying. Now, do I think that's going to happen? I highly doubt it, but I'm not going to put it past Shane Beamer. That dude's put on some miracles that has still got me like, how the hell did this dude do that? But I think A&M is playing great football right now. Reed is one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. But we saw last week, if you could get him rattled, he is not as effective. But I mean, that's any quarterback. So if they could put some pressure on him, he doesn't make the best decisions always. But I still think Texas A&M covers in this one. So give me A&M 35-17. I like that score. 35-17.
If South Carolina doesn't end the season strong, do you think Beamer's the coach next year?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's accomplished too much there to let him go.
Even if you have an exodus of like the stars.
I don't think they leave.
No,
Lenore Sellers has already pretty much said he's playing college ball, but not at South Carolina next year.
I'm not worried. It's not about Lenore Sellers. He's not the heartbeat of that team. The defense is the heartbeat of that team. It doesn't matter what quarterback. They'll go out and get a quarterback in a different offense, bring in some players, but as long as that defense stays, like they got some players in there they're legit. I don't think they'll leave. And Dylan Stewart, he's also not the type of dude that's going to check out. He's a competitor. Like he's hardcore. So I don't.
But he can't win the games himself, and I mean,
no, but he can highly affect them.
That's true.
I think
I just worry about him. I just worry about him staying motivated if all the other guys are checking out around him.
Sure.
But if it wasn't a Beamer-led team, I would say that. But Beamer's got a way just to inspire people to do amazingly stupid things at this point in the season. And you're just looking back on like, how the hell did South Carolina manage to do that? And maybe Texas A&M looks past them, especially in a noon game at home. They're not really going to be all amped up to face South Carolina, and that's just the type of thing that happens in the SEC at this time of the season when you're not expecting it. But I still think A&M wins that. So, Mike, you agree on that one?
Oh yeah. No, I think A&M rolls big.
But it's fun to talk about what ifs, though, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so this next game, there's absolutely no what if to me. I don't think this is going to be close. No. Texas Tech proved last week that they're one of the top 10 best teams in the country, and I think they put a major stamp. I don't think UCF really has anything that's going to deter Texas Tech. I got them rolling big, 55, UCF 10. What do you guys got?
I mean, I think it's going to be biblical. I'm with you. UCF is just 4-5. And I don't think Scott Frost is a good coach. And I don't think Taven Jackson is a good quarterback. And I don't have any faith in Scott Frost to suddenly have his team play above their means. And, especially against a team like Texas Tech that, like I said, they're just so dominant up front, especially on that defensive line that, I think they can score as many points as they want to here. So, I will say it's, 48-7.
Yeah, I mean, Texas Tech is just crazy dominant. They're going to cover big on this. UCF's got injuries. They're on the road. I agree with you. I think Frost is a horrible coach. Tech has lost one game, and it was the one game that Baron Morton didn't play in.
Right.
So I think it's pretty easy win for Texas Tech. I will say, though, I do love UCF's Space U uniforms. The ones they came out with this year.
Yeah, those are cool.
I just think that there's no way UCF and South Florida can never be good at the same time. You notice that? There's always one of them that's pretty good, but not at the same time.
All right, getting into our last two for the day. We have the 3-6 New Mexico State Aggies versus the 23 ranked Tennessee Volunteers. They're a 40-point favorite, so this one obviously is going to speak for itself. Guys, any thoughts on this?
My thought is that it's obnoxious for Tennessee to be playing a team like New Mexico State this late in the year, and I am so glad that the SEC is finally going to 9 conference games next year, so we don't have these weird mid-November layups. I think it's ridiculous.
Do we know that they're going to start scheduling that 9th game in November, or are they just going to get rid of their early season out of conference game?
Regardless, if you play, I guess I don't know, but I assume that they would go to the model that the rest of the country does and not keep that November layout game.
I feel like you're just going to. I feel like you're just going to get fewer Bama, Wisconsin, and Texas, Ohio State, and Oklahoma, Michigan games. You're still going to get these.
Yeah. Because coaches firmly believe that getting that extra recovery game as a bye week that's not really a bye week is detrimental to playing, especially if you're in a title hunt for the SEC. It's just a free week to get your players healthy. I know everybody out of the conference might hate that shit. Mike, I know you might hate that.
I hate it. Yeah.
I just feel like if you're going to do it at the start of the season, not in November.
That's how I feel about it. Like, get your get your group of 5 teams out of the way early. Look, if New Mexico State still had Diego Pavia, maybe this would be somewhat interesting. But he plays for Vanderbilt now. So Tennessee can name its score. They can score as many points as they want. I don't think New Mexico State's going to score a lot.
Yeah, there's nothing else to say about the game. Despite that horrible logo that you put on there for Tennessee, they are going to destroy New Mexico State. It's not going to be close. It's ridiculous, and it's only going to be less of a slaughter compared to the next game we're going to talk about. Like,
it's kind of funny. But in their defense, I mean, this spread is not really that much difference, and this is a Power 5 football team against, that this spread should not be this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll take Tennessee 48, and I'll be generous and say New Mexico State scores 10.
I don't think they're going to score.
I don't either. I'm just trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. And I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Tennessee will win this game, and that's all I'm going to say. We can move on. You know how I feel about this. That checkered flag orange. That's just.
Someone told me that you just got your Joey Aguilar jersey. It just came in.
I don't even know who that is. I know he sounds like a guy that freaking spins pizzas at Tony's Italian Pizzas down the street, but that's a different story. Last but not least, we have the number 1 ranked team in I guess this is a matchup, Big Ten matchup, UCLA. They are a 33-point favorite now. I don't really think this needs to be anything talked about. Eric, I know you hate this team, so we'll let you go first. Any thoughts?
Yeah, so I don't know if it's true, but I've seen multiple places say that Nico is not playing in today's game.
Nico's not playing? Oh, boy.
Again, I haven't seen it from a credible source like ESPN or somebody but I've seen it posted multiple times that Nico is not playing today. So, if that's the case, this is ridiculous. This is going to be this is going to be almost as bad as Ohio State playing Grambling State or Youngstown State. They are going to destroy UCLA today.
Yeah, I already thought Ohio State was going to cover even with Nico playing.
Right.
But if Nico's not playing, man, that's the entire UCLA offense there gone. And we know they can't play any defense, really. Yeah. So if their offense isn't putting up points, and look, this Ohio State defensive front is so terrifying. And the Buckeyes are just, the entire Ohio State defense is just from Caleb Downs on down. They're phenomenal. So I think Ohio State can score as many points as it wants. I think they might score defensively in this game. So because UCLA is going to be desperately throwing the ball. The one thing I'll say is that the Buckeyes, they don't go as scorched earth as they used to. They seem like they're load managing for the playoff run. Like they run fewer plays. They're snapping the ball at a much slower pace than they last year and this year than they have in past years. And I think that's intentional. But even with that, I think they're going to score on defense. I think this is going to be ugly. I'm going to say 45-0 Buckeyes.
Yeah, I forgot to give my score, but I'll say 42-6.
Yeah, not if Nico's not playing.
Nico's not playing. I don't know how they're going to score.
Again,
I don't I don't
salt.
see them moving the ball past the 45 yard their own 40-yard line. Like,
Grain of
let's be honest here.
salt, because I haven't seen a credible source, but
Sure.
I've seen it
Okay.
about 5 times from different places just since we've been on here. So
Interesting.
Yeah, give me the Buckeyes, just a 50 piece, because I don't really see UCLA. I don't really see them being able to do anything. So yeah, give me a 55-0, because I mean, okay, yeah, I'm seeing it too. People are saying he's not expected to play, so
Woo! Yeah, no good.
yeah, it says he will miss the upcoming showdown due to a concussion.
Ooh, no good.
Yep.
but
So
I got to get out of here. But since we're ending this with Ohio State, I just want to leave you with a little bit of a gem of a piece of knowledge here. Okay. So I don't know if you noticed this week, but after 230 years, the United States has stopped production on the penny.
I saw that. Yeah.
It now costs nearly 4 cents for it to make, and doesn't
Yep.
make sense for them to continue making it. So I just want to, in honor of that, point out that the penny, over its lifetime, witnessed the first U.S. president. It witnessed the end of slavery. It witnessed the Civil War, the Great Depression. It witnessed 9/11. But after 233 years on this planet, the penny never witnessed Ohio State having a winning record versus Michigan. So I'll leave you with that, guys, and I'll see you guys next week.
There we go.
If you feel like stopping by the watch along today, come by, hang out. But otherwise, I'll talk to you guys later.
You know what? I'm not even going. I don't have anything else to say, Mike. What you got? You got anything to add to that?
No, I think that was good. I will say angry Sky Yuma row the boat. Go Gophers. Get back on track next week.
You know what? And that's all for me. It's Roll Daggum Tide. That's how we're going to end the show today, folks. See you next week. Be sure to tune in to the Saturday AM Scramble.